Have you ever wondered what gear you need for a successful day hike? And that's whether you're out on the trail or even in your own backyard. Well, last year I published a video called Hiking Safely at 70, and it was pretty darn successful, and I got over 600 comments, many of them suggesting what folks thought should be taken on a hike to make sure a hike was safe. And I compared that list with the items I took, and so this year's list of gear that I'm packing in my pack reflects a lot of those comments. And I'm going to go over both the gear that I planned on taking and the addition to those gears suggested by many of you. So today we're going to focus on what I take in my day pack when I go out hiking this summer. This is the pack I use. It's an Osprey Talon 22. And when it's fully loaded with all the gear that we're going to go over in the next few minutes, it weighs about 7 pounds. Add on another 6 pounds of water and food, and the total weight on my back is usually about 13 pounds for a typical hike. So let's take a look inside. We're going to do it by looking at the following areas. First, clothing, the extra clothing you need for safety, then navigation devices, then what I do for water, then small gear, and then some other suggestions that were made by commenters in some of my other videos. So let's go. As far as extra clothing, I usually like to pack whatever I need in a small waterproof container. That dry bag will be where I put my mid layers to keep me warm if I need to during the day, if I run into colder weather or a storm. Usually I'll take, depending on the weather, either a fleece mid layer or I'll bring along this great down vest. This is a Patagonia. Other good ones are available. But what I like about the down vest is it really keeps your core warm and allows your hands to be and arms to be relatively free. You always have to be ready for rain. So my go-to is a good quality rain shell. I use a Patagonia torrent shell, but there are many good ones out there. And you never know when a sudden rainstorm is going to break out on you. You don't want to be caught up on the top of the mountains with a lot of rain coming down and you're not prepared. So I always bring a rain shell. In my case, a Patagonia torrent shell does the trick. This rain shell protects me from any weather that I might be likely to run into, and it's worth its weight in gold to bring it along, so don't forget it. And here it is, rain shell and mid layer, all placed in the dry bag. All you have to do is put this at the bottom of the bag and you're set to go. Now for navigating, I'll bring along a couple of things with my pack. First, I'll always have a Garmin GPS device. This is an InReach Mini right here. It has an SOS button, you can text, but is absolutely invaluable in the woods for safety. So make sure you get one of these, attach them to your strap, and it'll ensure that you're safe all day long. I also like to bring an old-fashioned map. Either a map or even some of the old guidebooks that have topo maps inserted in the rear. Some of these things are new, some are quite old, but still darn good up in the woods. Now for water, for a 10-mile day hike in moderately warm weather, I'll usually bring 2 to 3 liters of water. I tend to carry mine in a bladder. You just put these inside the back of your pack. It has a handy gadget to drink from. That's on the outside. Very convenient to use. Now, a lot of folks prefer water bottles. That's perfectly good too. I carry them in side pockets, and in some ways they're a lot less hassle loading up your pack than a water bladder is. So it's really a matter of choice. For a bit of added safety, especially on longer hikes, it can be really wise to bring along a water filter. This is what they call a Sawyer squeeze. It's one of the many types of water filters that are available. And I'd recommend, this is another good safety thing, put it in your pack, bring it along, and that way you'll be sure that you have a good supply of water no matter what happens. But the key point is, bring enough water for the hike. Those pesky bugs can really ruin a trip before you even begin. So, there are a couple of things you ought to take along with you to prevent mosquitoes from just wrecking a day. First, make an assumption that before a trip, you treat all your clothing and everything you're carrying along with a really good insect treatment, such as permethrin right here. On your trip, pack a really good insect repellent. This is picaridin. There are other types as well, many different types that'll prevent you when you're halfway through from getting eaten alive by the bugs. If worse comes to worse, you can always invest in a head net. It seems to get in the way a little bit, but it's certainly put over your hat, put over your head, will prevent the bugs from eating you up. Now let's look at some of the small bits of gear. Small, but really important. And a number of these in earlier videos I had talked about, but I missed a couple of things that, thanks to your comments, I've added right here. Okay, number one thing to take, get a good first aid kit. A good complete kit can be found at REI or any of other outdoor stores. Worthwhile investing in because you're always going to have cuts and scrapes and falls in the wild. This is your insurance policy. So make sure you have flashlights, or better yet, a headlamp. You never can tell when that trip that was supposed to be over 2 hours before sunset suddenly runs 2 or 3 hours late. You just took more time out in the woods than you thought, and all of a sudden it's dark and you're still a mile out of the car. So this little gadget provides a number of other items that are good to have. For example, it's a built-in flashlight, has a thermometer, has a compass, has a very small mirror, and even a magnifying glass. Now, if you got some electronics you're bringing along and you want to make sure you don't run out of electricity in the middle of the day, I'd recommend bringing some kind of a backup battery. This is a 10,000 milliamp battery. It's not really too heavy, several ounces, and it'll more than power an iPhone or a camera for the day. If you're going on a hike longer than a day hike, you'll need something much bigger, but this should do the trick. It'll fit nicely into that day pack. Now I have to talk about what happens when nature calls. You have to be prepared there too. I have this small, lightweight aluminum trowel, weighs only a couple of ounces. Very good to dig holes with. This is a small bidet. It can go right on the top of a water bottle and take care of cleanup business. And finally, if you want to pack in and pack out, there are a number of kits you can buy that'll allow you to be very low impact on the wilderness. Just put them in your pack too. Here's a couple of pieces of gear that I didn't have on my list as recently as last summer, but some of your comments reminded me that these might be good things to have in the back of your pack. First, this is an emergency blanket. And second, these are waterproof matches. I think they have an obvious benefit. I know, seems like a lot, but I'll tell you, all worthwhile stuff, and the total package weighs less than 7 pounds. Put some food and water in there, you'll only have 13 pounds on your back, and you'll be off and going. So, have a good hike, and let's go.